Hey gang, Ronin here. Welcome on back to the Retrocade and another edition of Suckerpunch Sunday, our 35th episode in this series, where we go back and we visit a classic fighting or fighting platform-based game from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. And for this week, having spent the last month diving deep into the world of anime-based games, we're going to go back to 1991 and the venerable Neo-Geo, and we're going to play a game that's full of characters that, if you know fighting games, are going to seem pretty familiar to you, and this is where they got their start. We are going to play, as it so adequately explains on this demo screen, Fatal Fury. Now, Fatal Fury was developed by SNK, and it is actually, the full name is Fatal Fury 1 King of Fighters. Now, you may remember that in our original game in this series, we played the original King of Fighters from 1995. Now, you get to choose 3 players. You get to choose Andy, you get to choose Terry, or you get to choose Joe, and I inadvertently chose Andy for this first playthrough.
Andy Bogart versus Richard Meyer. Round 1.
But as you can see, it is very much your standard fighting game of the 90s, where you have best 2 out of 3 falls, fighters of different martial arts styles and abilities. And because this game is so basic, having been now 32 years old, you have your basic punch and your kick, and that's all you really need in this early proto-fighting game. Now, the designers of this game envisioned it to be considered the successor, the true successor, of Street Fighter II, which had only come out a year or 2 earlier. Depending on if you were looking for it in arcades or if you're looking for it on consoles. And the director of this game, Takashi Nishiyama, and producer Akichi Kawasaki, wanted to put more of an emphasis on storytelling than just the little bits of information you get in Street Fighter II. So the backstory in this game is that Terry Bogard and his younger brother Andy were adopted by a martial artist when they were orphan kids. And their father, their adopted father, is killed by the guy we saw in the cutscene named Geese. And Geese is both a prominent martial artist, an extremely rich man, and he is the local crime lord. And this whole game is about how Terry and Andy, along with the help of a Muay Thai kickboxer named Joe, were able to bring Geese Howard's empire down. We still managed to take him down by just getting up over that tornado punch. And Michael Max is down and out. Now, like most Neo-Geo games, even the early versions that we had in the 90, 91, 92 when the console first came out.
Ready, go!
Let's see if I can pull this off. Uh-oh. We're getting bait. Got 20 seconds. And we got it. So I think we got 1,000 points out of that because we didn't do it right away, but... So now we go to Howard Arena and we fight...
versus Tung Fu Roo.
Tung Fu Roo in this game is Terry Bogard's Sifu, or instructor. And one thing that differentiates this game from a lot of other games at the time was, it was one of the first games that ended up coming up with a dual... Oh, hello. He got... Wow, he went from Drunken Master to Zangief on us. But as I was saying, you can have... You can either fight up front, or you can go to the background and fight in a slightly different way, like he's doing right there. Ow. Oof. Okay, Tung Fu Ru is nobody to mess around with. No, I can't do that. Alright, let's choose Terry this time.
Terry Bogard versus...
Now let's see what Terry can do against his seafood. Ooh, and he still got me. And I lost my hat in the process. Now, Tung Fu Ru is a master of a martial art called Hakkyoku Saiken, which almost sounds like something I would have heard in another game I've profiled on this channel, Fist of the North Star. Because there was a martial art in that game called Nanto Saiken. And still putting us to shame. Alright, well, let's see what we can do with Joe.
Joe Higashi.
Now, Joe and Terry, I have played in other games, most notably Capcom vs. SNK. See if I can pull that move off again. And instead, Tung Fu Ru puts us on our butt one more time. So the difficulty curve in this game definitely ramps up after the first couple of fighters. Now what I gotta figure out is whether or not well, I didn't make it long enough to find out. My thought was if I could stay away from him and evade his attacks, then maybe he would go back to being Old Man Tung Fu Ru and we'd have a better chance at it. So much for that happening. I blocked it, but I still didn't have enough life to hold off that flame blast. I was saying, I gotta be able to do something here. Because he's already got me down to almost no life. And sure enough, he took me out. Okay, well, I think what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to let the clock run down. Well, I was going to, and instead... we're gonna fight him one more time. Man, he's already almost got me dead. Now all he has to do is sneeze on me wrong, and that's it. Like so. If there is one thing that has always bothered me about the first generation of fighting games, it was that the difficulty curves tended to go a little crazy. Now I'm playing this on standard. And he still beats me. So I finally whittle him down so he's not Goliath Man anymore. Alright, so I will add my name to the rostrum here. We lost 10 fights in a row to Tung Fu Ru. So let's start with Terry this time. Let's start in the Howard Arena. Let's see if he's any easier on the first go through. And this will help determine the overall difficulty in this game. Because if he's easier on the very first fight, then that will tell me a lot. Still hits like a truck. But we finally beat him. So we're 13 minutes in, and we finally got by Tung Fu Ru for the first time in 11 fights. Which means if we can get past him again and get through the next fighter, whoever we fight third is going to be an absolute beast. Well, I thought I was able to start getting that special attack off. But as it stands, he's moving too far out of range for me to be able to hit him. That was really annoying. He was using Yoda tactics at that point. When in doubt, just jump out of the way. Oh, we're gonna do this again? Really? And he still took me out. Back-to-back victories for Tung Fu Ru. And that we can't play him is even worse. Now, the reception for this game, despite its difficulty, was best represented on the Neo-Geo, where Computer and Video Games Magazine gave it 94% out of 100. Mega Drive gave it 85% out of 100. GamePro gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The only one that didn't really look fondly on it was Maximum Magazine that gave it a 2 out of 5. But Paul Rand of Computer and Video Games called Fatal Fury one of the best Neo-Geo games available in 1992 and compared it, quite obviously, with Street Fighter II. Oh, I've almost got him. Oh, instead he got me. So Rand in his reviews called Fatal Fury a brilliant feast of fighting, huge and excellently drawn with character sprites, great animation, unique special attacks, which gives the game much more variety. Well, I've yet to see that variety, because I can't get by this crotchety old man. And he beat us again. Maximum's review, which actually came out in 1996, 5 years after this game came out, said the game failed to offer any real competition for Street Fighter II in either playability or character selection. They concluded, quote, the only main point of this game's favor is that two of the characters may team together to take on a computer opponent in a 3-player frenzy. And the game also tries to offer something new with a 2-tier playing arena, but the slow action and disgracefully difficult fireball motions make special moves something of a rare occurrence. I would agree with that. Now, this game did come out on other consoles. It came out on the Super Nintendo in 1992, came out on the Genesis / Mega Drive in 1993, was released to the X68000 system in Japan in 1993, and it came out on the Neo-Geo CD system in 1994 in Japan and then 1996 in the States.
Versus Michael Max.
Now that, by comparison to dealing with Tung Fu Ru, was way too easy.
Round 2.
But with having a basic fight or punch and kick mechanic, you've got to be able to time it and stack them well enough to make up for the fact that, like the review said, getting special moves off in this game is a lot more difficult than it needs to be. Now, I'm playing with an Xbox controllers, which means I have a perfectly adequate thumbstick to go with the D-pad and multiple buttons. You only need 2 buttons to be able to attack in this game. And even with all that, being able to hit consistently and pull off special moves is just not nearly as easy as it is in Samurai Showdown. Certainly not as easy in Street Fighter II. And when King of Fighters came along a couple years later, SNK, I think, had figured out that they didn't need to make it quite so difficult to bust special moves out. As Duck King here goes full Blanca. Now, he's said to be using a rhythmic fighting style. My guess is it came out of Brazil and he learned it from a big green guy with a shocking personality. And Duck King still took me out. Alright, let's pit Joe against him and see what we can do here.
Go Higashi versus Duck King.
Now, a year later, SNK came out with Fatal Fury 2. A year after that, they released Fatal Fury Special. And then in '95, they released Fatal Fury 3, Road to Final Victory. And that same year, again, was when they came out with the first King of Fighters standalone game. But they also did Real Bout Fatal Fury in December of 1995. We got Real Bout Fatal Fury Special in 1997. Real Bout Fatal Fury 2, The Newcomers in 1998. Let's see if I can take him out here. And he's at that kick, then yeah, he just stack it up into that spin. And sure enough, it just puts me right down. They came out with a special version for the PlayStation in 1998 called Real Bout Goro Densetsu Special. I can say that. And then we got two more games in the late 90s for the Hyper Neo-Geo 64 and the Neo-Geo Pocket Color. Before we got the final game that they released for the Neo-Geo called Garou Mark of the Wolves, which has even more characters that would later get ported over to Capcom SNK. So now who do we have to fight?
Bonus area.
Oh, we go back to the bonus area and do the...
Ready? Go.
arm wrestling, which should be a lot easier this time now that I know what I'm doing. Sorry, Hulkster, but you weren't going to win on that one. So now we have to go back to Howard Arena and fight Tung Fu Roo one more time. Well, I'm hitting that A button as fast as I can go in order to be able to get Joe to attack. And instead we get taken out in 4 hits. Come on. Nope, he took us out. So we'll give it one more try. We'll go back to Terry.
Terry. Round 1.
Hey, we actually took him down. I sorry I didn't have much more play-by-play for you on that one. I was concentrating so hard on just beating that old codger. So now we're square, or actually I'm up 1-0. That's 4 hits and 5 hits, and just like that we are toast. So I got him down to half-life, he transforms, hits me 5 times, and that's it. I made the mistake of jumping into that one. Ah! He took us out. But we are close enough to 30 minutes that at this point, my Kung Fu is not good enough that I think I'm going to get by Kung Fu Roo on another go. Not when we lost 10 in a row to him. So that, everybody, is the original Fatal Fury from 1991 for the SNK Neo-Geo. And we get to our usual stuff. Is it a good game? For the time, I would say, yeah, it had potential, but has it aged well? Absolutely not. Graphically, I still like the way the graphics are done. Yes, it's a 32-year-old game at this stage. So if you're looking for something much more modern, you're not going to find it on this console, 32-bit graphics aside. You know, it's still one that, in that respect, holds up pretty well. But even by comparison to later games, like especially once they switched over from Fatal Fury to King of Fighters, those games ended up having a lot more pop to them. But you could see where at least the genesis was in starting to build this franchise up. If they retooled the controls and made special moves a lot easier to execute, I think this would have been a much better initial offering for the series. Granted, I have not played Fatal Fury 2 or 3, so I don't know what improvements have been made yet, but it will be interesting to go back further down the line and see what those changes are now that we have this as the yardstick. So, you know, if you're looking to try out classic fighting games from the 90s, it's worth taking a look at it because, again, a lot of the staple characters in this series were ending up getting ported over into different franchises further down the line. But be prepared to be disappointed, be prepared to be frustrated, and for all the novelness that it has in it, there's a lot of things that are working against this version of Fatal Fury. So, if you like this episode, and I do hope you have, best way to show it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, ring the bell to be notified of our latest content. Again, thanks to everybody who tuned in for our playthrough of the original Diablo for the PlayStation 1. That was a fun 20 episodes that we were able to delve back into a game that I hadn't played in a really long time, and did get a lot of enjoyment out of. So, also be sure to vote on our poll question, which we have up on the community page on the channel. Would you like to see me, somebody who has talked up a lot about the Soulsborne universe and my interest and my fondness for what I have seen in it, actually play the games? Yes or no? It's real simple. Yes, you'd like to see me play them, or no, play something else on what I have always touted to be a retro classic arcade channel. So, but cast your votes, because that will help me determine down the line as we get closer to 200 episodes on this channel, which still boggles my mind, of what I want to do as kind of a special treat to celebrate that. I do have my next playthrough set up, and I am going to get it executed in the next couple of weeks, but I'm going to take a little bit of time off. One of the things I want to do is I want to get a couple of standalone episodes done that I haven't worked on in a while. More news as that warrants. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Threads at Ronin's Retrocade. Help spread the word about us. Faster we hit our goal of 100 subscribers. Faster we can unlock YouTube's customization algorithm, and we can make this channel bigger and better. And you know the drill. If there's a game you would like to see us feature from the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, SNK Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, Leave it in the comments below or drop me a line on Instagram or Threads. It can be any game from those consoles you want. And as always, my name is Ronin. It's been great to spend this Suckerpunch Sunday with you. Be safe, be well, happy gaming, and we will talk to you again this week when we get a little more special stuff in line for you. Talk to you then. Bye.